Welcome back. And as promised, we have the attention of Millicent and Philomena, who term themselves survivors of cancer. They'll be able to explain to us the finance, the social and economic states of being treated and surviving cancer afterwards. But firstly, let's have a clip from Dr. Njoki Jireni describing the stages of cancer.
To have less and less sexual partners with the advent of a lot of social media, a lot of sexual freedom, so to speak, women having more and more sexual partners, and not just women, but also men. So then the likelihood of you picking up other infections, including HPV, HIV being another driver, then becomes another issue. Number two, the younger your ectocervix is more exposed to the outside and usually curves in to expose just the ectocervix when you're a bit older. So if you start having sex early, you're exposing that transitional zone to whatever infections that you're going to pick up. And commonly here I want to insist on HPV because it's the one that has been linked with, again, as I said, more than 90% of cervical cancers.
Thank you very much. We'll start off with you, Millicent. Now, the doctor is saying that younger and younger girls are getting involved in sexual activity. Tell me, is this true? And how has it impacted? How have you seen it in your region of Kariobangi?
Yeah, it is very true. Young girls are involving in early sexual active because even me, I got my firstborn at the age of 14. And in the community, you find that you live with your daughter in one room and you are married. So I think it leads our girls to attracted to early sexual activity.
And how has that impacted their lives, their schools? Is it something that is well known or is it hidden? And how does it come to a point that girls get really sick or at a very young age based on getting involved in sexual activities?
Yeah, it gets them to be sick because when you are into early sexual active, you are in high risk to get cervical cancer.
Let me ask you, Philomena, what kind of illnesses or what kind of diseases have these girls picked up, especially say at the age of 10 and 14, which the government, this is the age bracket of girls that the government intends to vaccinate against HPV. Tell me what kind of diseases you've seen.
Mostly I've seen girls with a lot of STDs, and when they have STDs, they kind of hide them and they don't want to talk about them. A lot of STIs, a lot of genital warts, that kind of thing. And because nowadays the youth are very active at a very young age and they don't have the fear of sex, you know, like the way previously before it was something that was a bit tabooed and everything. So this is opening them to get into very many kinds of diseases. And one thing they don't know that cancer is one of the diseases that comes through early sexual activities.
Let me go to you, thank you, Millicent. You have an organization, Cancer Warriors. You want to educate people against, just make them be in a position to be aware about cervical cancer. Let's say specifically because you have managed to survive it. So tell me, what are the awareness efforts that you have put for young girls and older people who do not know that HPV or cervical cancer is mainly brought about because of HPV, which is sexually transmitted?
Okay, I have an organization, Symbol of Hope Warriors. It is based in Kariobangi. In Kariobangi, it is in a slum and we don't have a lot of that awareness. When I was sick, I got a lot of stigma because a lot of people thought that if you have cervical cancer, it is a curse or it is a kin from God, which is very wrong. There is a time I went somewhere to talk about HPV and vaccine. I shared my journey. I was surprised to get that I was talking to ages between 14 to 19, and I got 3 of them, which they were having cervical cancer symptoms. So I think it is the right thing to do because I'm touching a lot of lives in the community.
So do you believe the claim or do you dispute the claim by the Kenya Catholic Association of Doctors that 10 to 14-year-old girls may not be really sexually active? That's why they don't need this vaccine. Do you accept it or do you dispute it?
I dispute it because Even me, I have a 10-year-old girl, and I came with her here. I have a 10-year-old girl, and I really want my girl to be vaccinated. Since I got pregnant at the age of 14, how many Millicent are out there? And I know them. We have a lot of students, and you will find some young girls like 8 years, they are already sexually active. So we really need this vaccine. We really need it in the slum mostly.
Okay. Now, I want to go over to finances. Kariobangi is a low-income region, and many people do not have, let's say, permanent jobs, but rely on casual jobs, which may or may not have a stable income. Now, I'll focus on you. I'll go to you, Philomena. You explain to me what kind of jobs and what sources of finances are expected, casual, or what is seen in the region in terms of looking for income.
Okay, in the Kariobangi region, we don't have people who are really employed. Most of them are self-employed, and they have meager jobs like selling sweets, selling omena, selling water, maybe washing clothes. You find you go to a higher level area where people can employ you to wash clothes, washing houses. So they're not maybe in car washes, they're employed in car washes. That's the kind of job. Having vegetable stands, that's the kind of work that is in that area. But also with Symbol of Hope, we are trying to upgrade them by giving them skills like making mats, making beads, making peanut butter, so that they can make their lives a lot better.
You yourself, yourself used NHIF when you went for your treatments for cancer. Is that something that I can expect that somehow with my meager salary or income, I can still use NHIF among the people of Kariobangi right now? Is that something I can see?
You know, with NHIF, you can have the card. The problem with the people in our area is that getting even the 500 shillings to pay for the NHIF is a problem because we earn very little money. So that's where the problem is. But we do have the cards, that is true, but paying for it is the problem. Yeah, and NHIF does work if you can. If your card is updated, then the NHIF does work.
Let me ask Millicent, is NHIF, first of all, we'll start with what covers do you feel the NHIF must include, especially when you're referring to cancer treatment?
Blood counts, and the time if you had the word cancer, it is something connected with the blood issue. So I really want NHIF to pay for blood counts and the blood, because with cervical cancer, the woman bleeds a lot, and you find out that, like me, I got 14 pints of blood. So if NHIF can pay for the blood donation transfusion, it will be maybe something good, better.
Now, that would be interesting to include such kinds of treatments or requirements for cancer treatment. How about making people aware that NHIF is out there to protect their health care and all of that? Is that something that your organization is looking towards doing, and how are you doing it?
Before I started my organization, a lot of people never had NHIF. And from today, every member of Symbol of Hope that I have, they already have their NHIF card. The problem is their NHIF card, it is not active yet because they can't pay. You find out that even that person, he or she can't afford even a meal of the day. So the problem is how to pay the NHIF.
Okay, now let's get away from treating cancer, but preventing it, or being aware of what you should do to enable yourself, to sort of protect yourself or put yourself in a position you can get treatment before it's too advanced. What is your organization doing? We'll start with you, Philomena.
What our organization is doing is, first of all, Symbol of Hope has a lot of cancer patients. So what
specifically, cervical?
Cervical, prostate,
breast,
and breast cancer.
Even pancreas.
And pancreas, I think I know of one or two. So the ones that are there, the ones that I know of are the ones that already have cancer. So mostly what we do is to try to get them to go for treatments. If they are going in for chemo, we want to be able for them to pay for the chemo, because we find most of our people cannot afford to pay. If you're given 6 rounds, you find by 2 or 3 the money is finished, so they stay without finishing the treatments. Or even if you're told to go for radiation, you can't afford to go. So that's where we're at. But we kind of also scout for new people. We're on the lookout. If we hear someone has cancer, we go out and reach out and we give them hope, we talk to them, we try and work with them. For example, I joined Symbol of Hope through Millicent actually hounding me down. Like, where are you from? Do you have a support group? Don't fear the word cancer. Even if you have it, there's life after this, you know.
Right.
So it's really important to have a support group behind us. So that's what Symbol of Hope is doing right now.
Now, you've mentioned that your group has so many other people suffering from different types of cancer. And I'll go to you, Millicent. We talk about oral cancer, throat cancer, anal cancer being passed through HPV. Help me understand how this comes about. Give me ideas of how these people may have been able to get this and how you're helping them out socially and even economically.
Okay. First of all, I'm not a doctor, but
by experience. Your conversation will be by experience as the leader of your group.
My conversation, it will be by experience.
Yes.
What I know about HPV, it is a virus, that men are the carriers.
Right.
Where do men get from? The men get from us ladies.
Women, yes.
So if a man has HPV, it is possible to give a lady that HPV. And I learned something that even if a man, even if you use condom, still the HPV will pass through that condom.
Right.
That the same HPV that brought out cervical cancer.
Right.
And if you are sexual active, then you need to go for a screening or pap smear to do it. There is no shortcut. You really need to do either pap smear every year to check. It is nice to go for your checkup.
Important. I think important is the word. Now, as she talks about the pap smear as one way of preventing, or rather getting to know your HPV status, let's play a clip that is going to talk about, or rather highlight the stages of cancer as it is, as someone suffers of it. Oh, we're going to talk about your stages now and telling how you... That's the last question.
She didn't talk about our man.
Radiotherapy to the pelvic. If you have early, very early, which is stage 1, you don't have to even have big surgery to remove the whole uterus and the cervix. You just remove the part of the cervix that is involved. If you have cancer of the cervix between stage 1 and up to stage 2A, then you can have surgery to remove the uterus, to remove the cervix, and part of the lymph nodes that usually drain the area of the cervix. Above stage 2B to stage 4A, which is now what is considered like more advanced disease, then we are not looking at having surgery, because then the chances of the surgeon leaving cancer behind is high. So we go the route of giving radiotherapy to the pelvis. We give chemotherapy every week, when in another form of radiotherapy called brachytherapy, which is treatment inside, close to where the cervix is. Now, for cancers that are above stage 4A, it means we are palliating, which means we are controlling the symptoms.
She apologized for the earlier hitch in that clip where the sound was really down, but we're going to focus from the point of stage 2 to stage 3, which these ladies were diagnosed with, and they were able to help us understand the stages through. We're going to start with you, Philomena. What stage of cancer were you diagnosed with, and how did you go about the treatment?
First of all, I would like to say that there's a lot of misdiagnosis about cancer,
Please
especially
break down for
cervical
us.
cancer, because that's what happened with me. My symptoms started that I had fibroids, and then surgery was done, and when surgery was done, I started bleeding again. So it took an oncologist to do a pap smear again and find out that all along it had been cervical cancer. So they got it as stage 3A. By then I'd already had the one ovary removed and the uterus, but it was actually cervical. Some part of the cervical had been removed.
Right.
So the remainder part of it was what had cancer. So immediately it was the doctor did a pap smear, and then they do an MRI so that they do staging,
Right.
so that they can know what stage it is at. After the MRI, they found it was at stage 3A. So he mapped it out by saying I was going to do chemo for six rounds of chemo,
Right.
which I did. Then we went back and did an MRI. Then now he pushed me to a radiologist, because with cancer, it's not, with cervical cancer, it's not one doctor. It's a team of doctors.
Going stages
Yeah,
as they
yeah.
try to treat it all the way to
So
the
the oncologist read the MRI after chemo and decided he was going to do 25 rounds of radio and adding 5 more rounds of chemo.
Right.
And after that, I had 2 rounds of brachytherapy.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so that's what I've done.
Okay, let me move to you, Millicent. Now, Philomena has mentioned that she had one ovary removed and she had her uterus removed. And once you have your uterus removed, it means that you cannot have children.
Yeah.
How are people reacting to this, and how are you educating your group of members, of cancer survivors, against about living positively after life?
Okay, like for her, she was able to do the surgery,
Right.
but for me, I never did the surgery. Since the first time I did my screening, it showed out that I have cervical cancer stage 4. But when I went for my biopsy test, the result came back at I was stage 3B cervical cancer. I started my medication. I did 25 cycles of radiotherapy. I was to do 6 rounds of chemo, but I did 3 since I never had the money for blood counts.
Right.
And then I did 3 sessions of brachytherapy. Brachytherapy now it is the painful one. I'm trying to tell the people into the community, yes, I can't have a baby. You need to accept it. You accept it and you move on for the sake of other people in the community. Our main aim is to stop stigma, because we have a lot of stigma in the community.
Stigma from what? Why would I look at you and want to feel sorry or pity or bad at you?
Yeah, if you have cervical cancer, there is a smell. You smell a lot. Even breast cancer, we have some patients, you saw them when you came, that their breast has busted, so you smell a lot. And then the people from the slum, they don't have that knowledge. They don't have much knowledge to accept that cancer haiambukizani.
Right.
So the people, they thought that if you have cancer, I can spread it. Yeah.
You can transmit it to someone, like if I cough, you get a cough too.
Yeah, which is wrong. So we are creating that awareness. We are coming together to tell people we can move on, and we are your friends.
Right.
We need love. We need support. Please come close to us. Don't run away.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. You've given us a very insightful social point of how you live and you manage and survive cancer. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Okay. We are going to take a short break, and news from the world of sports coming right up next.